Kannepaval Srimad Bhagavatam class. We will be doing 113, 51 and 52 today. We'll begin with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Shushusho Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Kadharuchi Syanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatithani Shevanat Shrinvatam Sukadha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhrutsatam Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Tadharajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye Cheta etai anavidham stitam sattve prasidati Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha Bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate Vidyate hridaya grandhis chidyante sarva samshaya Kshiyante jasya karmani drishta evatmanishvare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna devotees, welcome back again. Whoever is joining on Zoom and whoever is hearing on YouTube, I seek all of your blessings. In general, for me speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam, if we have Srila Prabhupada's purport or I hear my spiritual masters or some senior devotees class and I just try to repeat it. It so happens that I have got these two verses with one verse with very short purport and the other one doesn't have any purport. But as we hear even a single page, even a single verse, even a single line of this wonderful literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, can actually connect us and give us that absorption in Krishna Katha. I don't have that capacity or qualification, but I seek all of your blessings. And if Krishna so desires for me to be able to share something for the benefit of myself as well as you, so that your time won't be wasted. Thank you so much. So we will begin with the recitation of 51. This is Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 51. Dhritarashtra saha bhratra Gandharya cha svabharyaya Dakshinena himavata Rishinam ashramam gata. Dhritarashtra saha bhratra Gandharya cha svabharyaya Dakshinena himavata Rishinam ashramam gata. Word meaning? Dhritarashtra, Saha, along with Bhratra, his brother Vidura, Gandharya, Gandhari also, Cha, and Swabharyaya, his own wife, Dakshinena, by the southern side, Himavata, of the Himalaya mountains, Rishinam, of the rishis, Ashramam, in shelter, Gataha, he has gone. Translation: O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, and his wife Gandhari have gone to the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelters of the great sages. Purport: to pacify the mourning Maharaja Yudhishthira, Narada first of all spoke from the philosophical point of view, and then he began to describe the future movements of his uncle, which he could see by his foreseeing powers, and thus began to describe as follows. We'll read the next verse also and then have a little discussion. Text 52. Shrutobhi saptabhiryavai Swardhuni saptadha vyadhat Saptanam priyate nana Saptashrota prachakshate. Shrutobhi saptabhiryavai Swadhuni saptadha vyadhat Saptanam pritaye nana Saptashrota prachakshate. Translation: the place is called Saptashrota, divided by 7, because there the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis. Jnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Kadanchana smrite ismin dushkaram sukharam bhavet vismrite viparitam va Shri Chaitanya. So we have been discussing this chapter 13, Dhritarashtra quitting home, and we can see the whole chapter is filled with Vidura's instructions to Dhritarashtra. So I thought the purport is not much and just 2 short verses, but probably we'll spend a little bit time on seeing the compassion of pure devotees, seeing what's the potency of pure devotees. In this particular verse, we are seeing both Vidura and also Narada Muni. So we'll spend a little bit time on that. And also the place where they're going, the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, and Saptashrota is described in the next verse. So we'll spend a little bit time on that. And how can we apply what is the message for us from these couple verses. So first of all, as all of you have been following, Dhritarashtra has left home, and on the morning, Maharaj Yudhishthira went to pay his respects as he does every morning, and he couldn't find Dhritarashtra, and he got really perturbed. And in that perturbed, grieving condition, we actually expect someone to talk, kind of, oh, I'm so sorry, yeah, I understand, that kind of a thing. And then we are hearing Narada Muni directly came and started talking the philosophy. So I was thinking, wait a minute, we're supposed to follow what we are seeing the great sages doing in Srimad Bhagavatam from these pages, from these verses, we are supposed to follow. So what am I to follow? I cannot, go to a grieving person and talk directly this philosophy, or for that matter, Vidura's case, how he's talking to the Dhritarashtra. So I was hearing they are actually in that liberated condition, and their heart is completely pure, and they have that intense desire to help these persons. So when they are speaking from that place, the other person don't perceive it as per se like they're coming strongly. So here we can also see what's the capacity of Maharaja Yudhishthira to receive that. We see similar thing happening in beginning of Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna starts his discussion. He says, what are you doing? You are lamenting for which is not lamentable. Are you even an Aryan? So we may feel that it's kind of, cutting through. Why are they speaking like that? But one thing we can understand is their mood, their compassion, and what's their intention. Like really, and we can also see what's the effect of it. Here we can see how Maharaj Yudhishthira is firmly fixed. It's Narada Muni's intention is not just to tell what happened with the Dhritarashtra, but also to prepare Maharaj Yudhishthira and the Pandavas for their further journey. So we can see how they're completely fixed up and ready to move on. And for Dhritarashtra's case, we can see how in spite of whatever was going on, he was able to move on, taking the instructions of Vidura. And similar thing with Arjuna, taking the instructions of Krishna, how he has actually gone ahead with the battle where he said, I can't fight, I'm going to the forest. So we can see what is their intention and what is their effect, and how do we have to follow. This is something I'm just taking from these verses. It's not that we have to go to a grieving person and or even for that matter a person who's like completely in their own world suffering, but then just going through that suffering, not even trying to come out. If you want to go to them and help, we really have to connect to them from deeper parts of our heart. We can actually follow the examples of these pure devotees whom we are seeing here, their mode of compassion. And I was thinking of this examples of many examples of Srila Prabhupada's time, how he was actually, calling scientists, politicians, fools, rascals, everything. But that is not coming from a place of, chastisement or something. It's actually coming from a very deep place of concern for them, compassion for them. He really want to help them. He doesn't want them to waste their, human life, this precious gift that we have got. So when we are able to have that kind of compassion in our heart, then we can say those words, we can talk in the way that Vidura is talking, like really harsh. But when we are not at that stage, we can try to cultivate and follow the example of their mood, that compassion and that desire to help the other person, not only for new people, even for the other devotees. I was thinking, when we are connecting, is our connection, is our mood really to genuinely uplift the person? Is that interaction going to help me and that the person go deeper into the shelter of Krishna and Guru and Bhakti process? So that is where we can actually focus our attention, instead of thinking, okay, I know, so what are you doing? You're wasting your life in that sense. Really connecting genuinely to the person. So that is something we can follow from these examples. To pacify the mourning Maharaj Yudhishthira, Narada first of all spoke from the philosophical point of view, because he is speaking from his heart with that mode of compassion. And also it depends on the receptivity of the other person. That we can see in spiritual masters' instructions in our own life, how, the same question asked by a very new devotee who just started practicing the process, versus a senior devotee who has been in the process, who has gone through, who has been trying to follow the instructions. The response or the instruction spiritual master gives is totally different. because they understand what would help this particular devotee in that particular stage. It's not that, one medicine for all. So that is something we can see because they're capable, they're giving that. And the second aspect is the receptivity of the person. So based on how much we are able to receive, the pure devotees, accordingly, they'll actually give us. Uh, we can also see how, Vidura, he was like really, really strong. I mean, I was thinking, what kind of words he is using? And he is the elder brother and, kind of a king for like so many years. And even now, even though he's not king, everyone, including Maharaj Yudhishthira and Pandavas, everybody was like paying respects and as if he's ruling the kingdom. And Vidura could go and he can give him left and right. I was thinking, oh, wow, this is really something. But what we can understand from there is Vidura understands what actually helps him. It's not really to, cut his heart or be really harsh to make him feel sad or something. But it's really, really to cut that strong knot of attachment to the material affairs, whatever facilities. Dhritarashtra's body is old and he has been blind. I don't know what kind of enjoyments he has been having. In spite of that, I mean, how attached we can see. I mean, we can see the parallel with our own lives. We have so many miseries, so many struggles. Still, I think, oh, maybe this will give me a little enjoyment. Maybe if I only have that thing, I may be a little happy. So let me strive for that. Let me do this. Let me do that. How, in spite of again and again failing attempts, we keep on trying to hold on, keep on trying to, look for some other enjoyment. So Dhritarashtra name itself actually suggests Dhrita is like really strong about the Rashtra, the attachment to the material place or facilities or family, everything. So we also have the tendency, and in order to cut that strong knots, we can see, I mean, I don't know, unless we are like really advanced, spiritual master may not speak that harshly. But sometimes we see these statements in Prabhupada's books, and I'm like, wow, this is strong. It's just like a big slab. So these are needed for us at times to really shake us up from whatever slumber we are in, and then really to wake us up to the reality. That's exactly Vidura was doing here with Dhritarashtra. And also because he has actually invested in that relationship, he has invested in so much, he has been all through wishing well for Dhritarashtra. So it also depends on the relationship when we can actually be strong in a relationship where we really feel the need or responsibility for the other person. And we have already invested in that relationship so much of that love and compassion, then the other person will be able to take it, the receptivity. So that is one point I thought, which is really nice for us to meditate when we are receiving some strong messages, either from the scriptures or from the devotees who are guiding us. How do we have to take it for us, and how, if at all, we need to be stronger, being disciplined, whether it's for, I mean, for some senior devotees, it could be, the devotees whom they're guiding. And for many of us, we have families and kids. So how we can actually do that, apply this principle even with the kids. So it's really for the genuine interest in the other person's well-being. It's not to just satisfy my own thing or to show off I'm better than them or I have the control on them if it's for kids. But it's really to help that person, uplift them, and enhance their connection. So yeah, the other thing from this verse is, and then, so Narada Muni, he began to describe the future movements of his uncle, which he could see by his foreseeing powers, and thus began to describe as follows. This is really interesting here. I mean, we can speak volumes about Narada Muni, but how he actually has this foresight, like Trikalagna, we say, and how he is guarded because of his unalloyed devotion and that mode of service. We know Krishna has that Vedaham Samaditani Vartamanani Chajana from 7th chapter. There is nothing which is unknown to the Lord. And pure devotees like Narada, who have that kind of service, who have that kind of unalloyed connection to Lord, they also have this capacity. We may think sometimes, hey, I wish I know what's going to be happening in the future, then I will be a little peaceful or less anxious or this or that. But I was thinking we would be so bewildered. I mean, just think of this corona or whatnot. So if we know it a priori, I mean, as it's true, we may take some precautions, but at the same time, we don't have that capacity to handle that. We will be totally bewildered and completely become, will be blank and cannot act, at least for me, I can see. So Narada has that capacity, not getting bewildered in spite of knowing the future, past, present, and future. That's why he is able to describe. And it's also interesting, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Vidura, and in fact, Maharani Kunti also, they just left few hours back. Like this is just the early morning and they left in the midnight so that nobody knows, nobody could stop them. And it's just few hours, they were still on the way. They have not even reached the place where he's describing, but he actually goes where they are going and what they're doing there and how they have, attained the spiritual realization. He's actually giving the whole thing. So it's pretty amazing. So the other aspect I felt, which is really nice from this verse, is the potency of the place. The southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelters of the great sages. So this is where they're going. And we may question, hey, wait a minute, why can't they just stay home and, chant Hare Krishna? That's what I was thinking, asking myself that question, why are they going? I mean, what's the need to go all the way there? Vidura is already a pure devotee. Why couldn't he just advise them, start chanting and do this? But as we understand, each of the places, they actually have certain potency. So we can see the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelters of great sages. In the next verse, it's described, this place is called Saptashrota, because there the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of 7 great rishis. So I did a little bit of research on this place, and apparently even now this place is there in Haridwar. It's called Saptarshi Ashram. And I was very surprised and happy as I was looking through just about this place, looking for some pictures and stuff. I happened to go to this TripAdvisor, and I just started looking through the reviews by different people. I mean, some of them not even for, went there for religious purpose, just a sightseeing, natural thing. So many people were commenting, oh, it's such a nice, serene and peaceful place. You just go there, you can actually experience. So please don't miss going there when you visit Haridwar. So those are the kind of comments. So we can understand how this place is actually, invested with that kind of a potency. These great sages, here in particular, these 7 great sages, Saptarshis, they were doing the penance. And it's so told, I couldn't find any reference from Srimad Bhagavatam, but from the local, I think, Puranas or whichever quotes the significance of this place, it's mentioned. Because the Ganges is like so gushing, like she's flowing with so much force that so much noise is coming. And in order to not disturb the meditation of the 7 great rishis, to reduce the noise, she actually divided into 7 smaller branches. just at that place, and further down she actually merges again into single. So that was the significance. But for us, how we can take it is these places have that spiritual significance, have that potency, and how are we to apply that in our own lives? Are we all supposed to go to, Haridwar, Himalayas, or I mean, we have the holy places, definitely Vrindavan, Mayapur. We can definitely feel, I mean, at least the glimpses, even in our current completely covered state. But I was thinking, we keep hearing this, have one particular place, especially for our chanting, where we can, do it regularly every day, so that that place is actually meant for that. So any activity, when done for a long time, it actually builds that kind of energy, that kind of a potency. I mean, for my kind of chanting. I don't have the experience, so I cannot speak for myself having just one place chanting all the time there, because my chanting is like spread throughout the day and whenever, wherever, unfortunately. But when I do have this opportunity early in the morning, just sit at one place and chant 16 rounds straight, we can actually feel something, how that place is actually affecting our consciousness. It's like, the whole thing is supporting us, our more and more deeper absorption. The mind, uh, I don't know, like after 8 rounds or like 4 rounds, depending on how nicely we are chanting, we can actually see the mind doesn't go anywhere, it's just going to the holy name. So that is one thing I'm thinking from these verses. We can take up how investing in that one sacred space for our everyday japa, and consciously trying to cultivate and build that kind of a spiritual energy. So to summarize, we have discussed pure devotees' compassion. Even though they speak harsh words, they have intense mood of compassion and love. So that really helps people to connect. We can see from Prabhupada's examples, I mean, people really got connected the way he was so compassionate and so loving. That really, I mean, I always wondered what actually made these people to, all these senior devotees, to give up everything and just surrender, like complete dedication. What did it take? It's that immense love. When they felt so much love, it's like how much ever I give, it's not enough. I mean, we can see that mood in our spiritual masters and many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples now. So that we can understand the pure devotees' compassion and love. So that is something we can take for our own life, to follow the example of their mood in whatever level we have, whatever little compassion we have, connect from that place. And the second aspect is how Dhritarashtra was, in spite of being in such a situation, he was receptive because of the situations and circumstances, and also because of Vidura's extreme compassion in that move. So he was able to receive, and then he could move on. And we also spoke about Narada Muni, how he's not bewildered in spite of knowing past, present, future. That's how these exalted devotees, they have that capacity to know. And finally, we have discussed the potency of the spiritual place, these holy dhams. And definitely, when we have the opportunity, we have to visit, we have to take the maximum benefit here with complete rapt attention, and chant with that kind of attention, so that we could capture that mercy, capture that potency in our hearts when we come back from the yatras. I don't know with this corona when we can get the opportunity to go again, but at least when we are in the home, when we are doing the chanting, we could have this one place and really focusly do the japa there, so that we can actually build that kind of energy at our homes itself, which are nothing but abodes of Krishna. So we will stop there. Kindly share your corrections, comments, anything to add to this verse. Kindly forgive me if I spoke anything which is not directly from the scriptures, if it's just from my speculation. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mathaji. Thank you very much. It is so inspiring about that Sapta Shrota. It was like a travel advertisement. But then you said you experience it right where you are. That was a very, very nice twist to it.
I mean, I don't think I could experience so much Mataji, but by Krishna, Mercy, and Devotees Association, once in a while when that happens, that fortunate time happens. But I'm sure you could experience that in front of Radha Shyam Sundar as you read Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm sure that place, whenever I see that chair near Radha Shyam Sundar, it just reminds me that, that recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, it was very inspiring. Thank you so much. I wish I had one iota of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Any other questions, comments, corrections, devotees? Okay, if we don't have anything, it's 7:31. Thank you so much for joining this morning.
One quick question, Mataji. Thank you. I was just thinking, I don't know still.
It's okay.
So Vidura took them there, right? Is that how it happened? I mean,
Oh, you mean how they have decided? Vidura advised them, or they decided?
yeah. No. I mean, Vidura took them there because I'm just trying to understand. I mean, Vidura being a pure devotee. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what is the guidance that he gave? I mean, I know one he said leave home, right, earlier.
Yeah, that's right. That leaving home, probably the attachment was like so much. And also it depends on what are the specific situation they are in, right? I mean, I was thinking, okay, how are we to take it? But we follow our spiritual masters or the devotees who are guiding us. So in that way, I don't know, for that age, probably we see even Pandavas, right? They go to Himalaya.
Yeah, they also put Himalaya.
Yeah, maybe it's like the culture, leaving home when they are done with the duties. Yeah. I also didn't have complete satisfactory, as we try to see through, because we keep hearing from Lord Chaitanya, you just stay wherever you are and just chant. That's all you could achieve your, spiritual perfection. That's for Kali Yuga. We don't know for Dwapara Yuga how it was. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean the practice also that he did, right? I think tomorrow it will come the Ashtanga Yoga he does, right? So I mean, I know he's not a devotee, Dhritarashtra. I mean from earlier, but yeah, he had the good association of Vidura at that time, at least now.
Right. Just by following Pure Devotees Association, even though the practices were like that, I was also surprised. How come, he has not practiced any time and he's doing Ashtanga Yoga, but it says he has attained the spiritual world. And that's just shows how by following the devotees' instructions, pure devotees.
My question is the other side, Mataji. Why did he got directed to perform Ashtanga Yoga, right? So
Why Vidura has advised? Yeah, I also had that question, Prabhu. I couldn't get a completely satisfactory answer for myself. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, devotees, thank you so much. And you all have a very wonderful Krishna conscious day. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarupesha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo. Hare Krishna.